This story was tagged to me on Twitter. Excuse me. And when I was looking at the title alone, I said there has to be way more to the story. So in this picture, you see two people. On the right, you see a woman by the name of Marilyn Kirkland, and she is the grandmother to the 6-year-old girl that you see sitting next to her, whose name is Kaya Kirkland. And you will not believe what happened with this 6-year-old girl. So this 6-year-old girl was arrested. Let me repeat that. She was arrested for allegedly throwing a tantrum. Something that most kids commonly do. When I read that part, I said, there's definitely way more to this story than they're letting out. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article, and hopefully they'll say exactly what it is. And I bet you it is some of the most minuscule shit ever. A Florida grandmother was shocked to find out her 6-year-old granddaughter had been arrested Thursday for throwing a tantrum. Marilyn Kirkland says Kaya's journey to the juvenile detention center by Orlando police officers began at Lucius and Emma Nixon Elementary Charter School. What do you mean she was arrested? He said there was an incident and she kicked somebody and she is being charged and is on her way, Kirkland explained. Now, something like that, if a child kicks another child, the most they should do is call the guardian. And if something has to be dealt with on a disciplinary level, they might give the child in school detention or a warning. And if it continues to happen, they might suspend them for a couple of days, not arrest them and send them to a juvenile detention center. They act like this child brought a gun to school and said, I'm going to blow everybody away up in here. That's what they treated this like. They said the disorienting chaos was too much for Kirkland to process. She has a medical condition that we are working on getting resolved. And he says, what medical condition? She has a sleep disorder, sleep apnea. And he says, well, I have sleep apnea and I don't behave like that. Now, this is a man. This is a guy. This is somebody at the somebody at the school who was talking to the grandmother in that tone. They're basically, it's almost like they're trying to say that she's lying about her granddaughter's condition. Like, there's just no way. Remember how I've always said that black people, no matter what the age, are not allowed, according to them, to have mental conditions? Here's another, I guess you can say, example of that. And this is also, too, displaying the school to prison pipeline. Now, usually when it comes to stuff like this, they usually always go after the little boys, and it's rare that they go after the girls. Let me tell you something right now. It's equal opportunity. They coming after everybody. It says first grader Kaya was handcuffed and carted off where Kirkland says she was fingerprinted and even had a mugshot taken. They told us we had to wait a few minutes because Kaya was being fingerprinted, and when she said fingerprinted, it hit me like a ton of bricks, Kirkland said. No 6-year-old child should be able to tell somebody that they had handcuffs on them and they were riding in the back of a police car and taken to a juvenile center to be fingerprinted and mugshot. Kaya is happy to be back home. Now, it didn't specify in the article where it says that she was charged with anything. Not that she should have been charged with anything to begin with. Like, this should have never happened. I would be filing a huge lawsuit against that school, and that person who wanted to talk slick the way that he did to the grandmother, he was asking for an ass whooping because he was being a straight up asshole. Talking about, well, I have sleep apnea and I don't behave like this. Well, you're also not a 6-year-old child either. I would hope you don't behave like that. And like I said, something like kicking a child or anything like that should have, if it was, like I said, any disciplinary action, they should have called the grandmother, which apparently it sounds like they did not do until after the fact of them putting handcuffs on this girl. She should have got in school detention maybe. And like I said, if it continued to happen, then if they had push come to shove and they had to suspend her for a couple days, then do so. Locking her up, like arresting her and putting her in a juvenile detention center where there are other people who are way older than her that are there for more maybe intense crimes. was not the answer. That should not have been the response. It just sounds like they were tired of this girl and they just wanted to do away with her or make an example of her. But like I said, this is the school to prison pipeline in full effect. Where was she at when this happened? At school. Where did she end up? In prison, in a detention center. But yeah, I would definitely be trying to sue that damn school. And while you're at it, go after the school district, because apparently it sounds like they weren't going to do anything about it either. And see, this is a charter school, so who knows, they operate a lot different than a private school, or definitely as a public school as well. But still, at the same time, that did not warrant for this little girl having to be arrested for a simple minor a simple minor action that could have been dealt with in a whole nother way. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Okay, so I had to come back on here and add this little piece into the story right here involving that little girl that was arrested. And this is 2 plot twists right here that we have. The first, Turner. He is the pig cop that arrested this girl because she threw a tantrum. The other plot twist is that this is not the first time he has done this. According to articles that I've come across, he has done this to another 6-year-old. So it's a pattern. It's a behavioral pattern that this man has, where I guess he feels that if he puts the handcuffs on a child, that is supposed to make him into Billy Badass. Well, the good news is, it's 2 pieces. One, the first part is that he got suspended from what he was doing. Now, the reason I said it's good is because it actually led to him actually now being fired. He has now been fired from his duties. And we always say that often cops can be transferred, they're not really fired. Well, I hope this one is actually really for real fired. Like, actually does not find another job in law enforcement or anywhere that has to do with children. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from CBS Miami. It says, Dennis Turner, an Orlando police officer, has been fired after he arrested 2 6-year-old children at their school, including handcuffs and mugshots. Marilyn Kirkland said she was shocked when she got a call saying a school resource officer at Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy in Orlando Charter School had arrested her granddaughter, 6-year-old Kaya Roll, as the result of an in-school tantrum. Kirkland said Roll was acting out in class, a side effect of lack of sleep from medical condition, so she was sent to the office. While Roll was there, a staff member grabbed her wrist in order to calm her down, and that's when she lashed out and kicked, according to Kirkland. She said Officer Dennis Turner didn't understand that she was trying to explain Roll's behavior. She has a medical condition that we are working on getting resolved, and he says, what medical condition? She says she has a sleep disorder, which is sleep apnea, to which he replied with, well, I have sleep apnea and I do not behave like that. Roll was taken in handcuffs to the Juvenile Assessment Center on a battery charge. It says, how do you do that to a 6-year-old child? Because she kicked somebody, Kirkland said. Speaking about the arrest Friday, Kirkland struggled to hold back tears. A literal mugshot of a 6-year-old girl, she said in disbelief. Roll tried to stay strong for her grandmother as she recalled the incident. Orlando Police Department officials said Roll was one of 2 children Turner arrested that day. So this happened on the same day. This wasn't 2 separate incidents. This happened on the same exact day. It says the other was a 6-year-old boy. The Orlando Sentinel reports police officials halted the booking process for the young boy before he made it to the detention center. Per department policy, officers are required to seek approval from their watch commander before arresting anyone under 12, but according to the department, Turner didn't do that. On behalf of the Orlando Police Department, I apologize to the children involved and their families, said Orlando Police Chief Orlando Rowland, who announced Turner's termination. As a grandfather, I can only imagine how traumatic this was for everyone involved. While Kirkland now has to deal with repercussions of the arrest, including an upcoming court date, she hopes no child has to experience what her granddaughter had to go through. Fortunately for the children, State Attorney Aramis Ayala stated at a press conference that her office would not prosecute the children. Ayala added that she is also working to clear their records. I refuse to knowingly play any role in the school to prison pipeline. Now, what did I say about that earlier? It said the criminal process ends here today. The children will not be prosecuted. CBS News reached out to Turner but hasn't heard back. The Orlando Sentinel reports Turner was reprimanded for using excessive force in 2017. He was also charged with child abuse in a case involving his own son in 1998. The Sentinel reports those charges were later dropped. So this guy just has a bad relationship with children, even his own children, years ago, and had just listen. Apparently, like I said, all they see is that color blue. But in this case, they saw black because they fired his ass, and I say good, because he needs to be brought up on some serious charges that can actually stick. Because, like I said, he has a history of what it appears to be child abuse. I mean, like I said, if he would do this to his own children, to his own son, his own child, he will do this to any child. But I'm glad that we now have a face to go with this person. And he definitely, well, I say he should be dealt with accordingly. But looking at him, I can tell he will be dealt with accordingly. It has been because he got fired. Hopefully they do not put him in another position where he can hurt or harm another child. But y'all let me know now what you think about this in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.